Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri tell me this, Siri find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
What you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pumps, skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Real News with Mark Valchuk. Oh, that video is hilarious. But it's kind of hilarious and kind of serious too, because there are millennials out there that act that way. So that's crazy, but it was a hilarious video I wanted to show you guys today. But one other hilarious thing, a hilarious story I saw this last couple of days, and I just remembered about it on the way here, so I want to share it with you guys. There is a story that came out, I think about 4 days ago, about a 27-year-old man wants to sue his parents for giving birth to him without his consent, which is hilarious, I thought. And just hearing that is hilarious. And I told my wife this, and she's like, well, if you don't want to be here, there's a short bridge over there if you want to just take a walk, kind of thing. But the seriousness in this, he's 27, and he announced that he planned to sue his parents for bringing him into the world without his consent. Raphael Samuel, he's from Mumbai, identifies as an anti-natalist. I think that's what it says here. The term derived from the idea that life is so full of misery that people should stop having children. And it's funny is that the funny thing also about it is said that, oh, this is really crazy too. Samuel said because he didn't ask to be born, he should be paid for the rest of his life. He should be paid for the rest of his life. I don't know if that meant paid financially or what here. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And he said that he was been struggling why he was struggle to understand why he was conceived since age 5. And asked his dad why he had them, why they went with the birth and all that. And his dad didn't give him an answer. Well, I think if my 8-year-old said, hey, Dad, why'd you have me? Well, it's because Mom was pregnant and I was excited to see you. So I don't know. But the other thing. He knows that he's not going to win this case. He knows the judge is going to throw it out, and he hasn't found a lawyer to take up this case. But really funny thing about this is that both his parents are lawyers, so they pretty much, the parents know that this whole case is just going to be thrown out, and it's just, he just wanted to make a point, which I don't understand, you know, what point he's trying to make. He's just kind of making himself look silly. So I thought that was kind of funny. That was a funny story. But let's get into a little bit of seriousness here, guys. It's Tuesday, and last Tuesday, I was here. I told you guys the State of the Union was coming, and Donald Trump delivered on the State of the Union. And I believe 76% of people liked his speech. And I asked my in-laws about it because they're kind of like on the other side. And they also said that they liked his speech. So it was kind of like Donald Trump was really hitting on all the points. And I think 81 to 82% of independents liked what Donald Trump had to say in that speech. And that's crazy because if you look in this politics, it's that you try to drum up your base, then you try to win over the independents to try to win them over onto your side. So with Donald Trump tearing it up, 82% of independents, there were a lot of them were cold to Donald Trump, are starting to thaw towards Donald Trump. And I really do believe this State of the Union address is, they pretty much is going to get reelected in 2020 because, one, it's national TV. So you see Donald Trump talking about he wants Congress to pass a bill to stop late-term abortions, and nobody stands up. I mean, the Democrats did not stand up. It looks like, you can see right behind Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi's losing her darn mind over it. It looked like, she was called a mean name, how the face she made. And you can see a lot of times that Donald Trump's like, 1,500, I believe the number was, of sex traffickers were captured and put in jail. And you see Cortez, and you see nobody really. I think they stood up for that one, but they didn't clap, and I thought it was a lot of crazy, and there's a lot of other craziness, in that the American people see the Democrats are not happy about it. They say they're excited, we care about Native African Americans and Latinos, but when Donald Trump talks about the low unemployment in the, in those communities, you don't see the Democrats celebrating that. And so the Democrats just keep giving Donald Trump gifts. And I think it was pretty hilarious, and I thought it was great what Donald Trump had to say. That, the funniest thing, before I go on to the next thing, the funniest thing in that whole speech is when he says we're not going to be a socialist country. And the camera, I think it was C-SPAN, camera's panning to everybody that's celebrating, clapping. And they stopped at Bernie Sanders and got a close-up of him. And man, he looked ticked off that Donald Trump said that. He kind of looked like the grumpy cat kind of thing, and I thought it was the most hilarious thing in that whole thing of Bernie Sanders just losing his mind. The other thing I want to get into is the AOC's Green New Deal that she said that she's going to come out with. And I think she had a press conference. I missed what day that was. I know it's just been recently. But I have a video that Tucker Carlson had a guest on, and he was talking about, that AOC Cortez didn't say this or that. So let me go to the video, and I'll come back to you guys, and we'll talk about really what was in the bill and what they're trying to hide.
All right, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says her Green New Deal will save the planet. In exchange, we just give up cars and airplanes and rebuild every structure in the United States. We'll also, by the way, need to invent brand new forms of energy that science hasn't conceived of yet. How much will this cost? That's unclear. How will we pay for it? Unknown. Who will make this happen? Well, workers, obviously, though anyone who is, quote, unwilling to work will still get paid by the government. In other words, not all of the details have been ironed out as of tonight, and that's why we're grateful that Robert Hockett is here. He's a law professor at Cornell. He's advising Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the Green New Deal, and he joins us. Professor, thanks very much for coming on. So can I just ask the obvious question, why would we ever pay people who are, quote, unwilling to work?
We never would, right? And AOC has never said anything like that, right? I think you're referring to some sort of document that some doctored document that somebody other than us has been circulating.
Oh, I thought that came right from her. That was in the background or from her office, is my understanding.
No. She's actually tweeted it out to laugh at it. If you look at her latest tweets, it seems that apparently some Republicans have put it out there. I don't know the details.
Good. Well, then thank you for correcting me. I mean, because it seemed a little ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as the idea that we're going to build enough light rail to make airplanes unnecessary, which I think actually is from the plan.
I don't know where you got that either, Tucker. I actually believe that you're actually on our side about this if you actually read the actual plan, right? There's nothing about getting rid of anything. It's about expanding menu options, right? I mean, there are many, many things we want to be able to do now in addition to what we already do. So where's the airplane disappearance coming from? I'm not really clear on where that originates.
Well, I could actually get it for you. This is
that would be great.
Frequently asked questions released by her office. And I'm quoting from it. Maybe this is fraudulent, in which case I hope you'll correct me. But it says that the Green New Deal would, and I'm quoting, totally overhaul transportation, and that would mean, quote, building out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel would stop becoming necessary. Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono responded to that by saying that would be hard for Hawaii. So I don't think that's made up. The senator from Hawaii doesn't
but I mean, it apparently is being misunderstood, right? We're really talking about expanding optionality here. We're not talking about getting rid of anything, right? We're talking about basically making it cost-effective to move into more modern forms of technology, more modern forms of production, which would then enable people actually cost-effectively to transition to that stuff. We're talking about requiring anything or prohibiting anything. That sort of 1980s style environment.
Okay, but hold on. I don't want you to back away from what she herself has said. And all of this with the caveat that, you know, a lot of this won't happen, maybe none of it, but these are the ideas that she's articulating. She did so on NBC last week.
I promise you, Tucker, I won't back away from anything she said. Indeed, we're pushing forward, right?
Then she said, well, yeah, at high speed.
Very high speed.
That we're going to supplant all fossil fuels in 12 years.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Okay, so
that doesn't mean prohibiting them. It means rendering them obsolete by doing something better. And we can do it. This is America.
Then good. Then I'm glad. And it's nice to have a smart person on the show to explain this. What about air travel, which is critical to our economy? This is a continental country.
It stays the same.
Okay,
right?
but no, because that requires fossil fuel.
We're talking about carbon neutrality. Remember, we're talking about net zero emissions. That doesn't mean that there's never any burning of anything, right? I mean, until we come up with solar panel flying airplanes, of course, we're not going to...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to correct. Because this seemed like we were making news on this show. The unwilling to work thing was in her backgrounder. That has been absolutely confirmed. You're saying no.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay, so NBC and lots of other news outlets are saying that was in the background, and you're saying it's fraudulent.
That's erroneous, right? Now, there might be new details now that you know about that I don't, because I've been doing media all day. But the story all day...
Yeah, I think that was actually in the document. I read it as it came out.
Well, it's the wrong document, Tucker.
It's definitely the wrong document.
Yeah, that's not us. No, we certainly don't believe in anything like that, right? So what you're saying is we're not getting rid of fossil fuels, actually, even though you just said we were. Because no, we're rendering them obsolete for most purposes they're used for now, right?
But air travel is a huge source, source.
Hence the word most before, right? We eliminate them for most purposes for which they're used now.
Include cars. So I've got 2 gasoline-powered cars at home.
But imagine how much better it's going to be when it's cost-effective to drive electric cars. But that can't be done simply by individuals, right? You have to coordinate. You have to have charging stations everywhere. And, of course, individuals can't do that, right? So in that sense, the government is acting like a kind of orchestra conductor here. We're trying to coordinate some of that stuff that can only be centrally coordinated and then enable everybody to act individually within that framework, right?
Yeah, I don't fully understand what you're saying, but let me on the low end, this would be the most expensive thing that the United States has ever undertaken, including rural electrification, the Second World War. And I'm just kind of wondering, in a country that's got more debt than it has GDP, how would we pay for that?
Well, here's the key, right? Remember that we racked up enormous debt to finance the Second World War effort and the New Deal and, of course, the interstate highway system in the 50s. But here's the key point. Here's a takeaway. I want you to remember this. I hope everybody will remember this. Remember that inflation is a relation, right? It's the relation between the quantity of money and the quantity of goods. Now, if the money that you're spending is resulting in the production of a great many more goods, you have no inflation problem. More production absorbs more expenditure. The problem with the $7 trillion that was spent during the Bush years and, of course, the last tax cut was that it wasn't actually productive. But note that even that didn't bring about inflation.
Okay,
right?
but we're still not getting close to it. And by the way, I'm just getting all this in my ear, and we're actually going to follow up on this next week.
Okay.
That unwilling to work line, which you're obviously embarrassed about, and you should be, of course.
No, I'm not embarrassed.
That
It's just
was
not
in the
us.
document.
It's not embarrassing. No, Tucker. No, Tucker. No. We're not embarrassed by what's not ours. No, Tucker. We're not embarrassed by what's not ours. Okay. We want to clarify that it's not ours. We're going to get to the bottom of that.
Yes, we are. We're going to prove it one way or the other, and I hope you will come back.
I will.
Professor, thank you.
Thanks so much,
I'm glad. I'm always grateful when people on the other side come on, including you. Thank you.
Oh, man, there's that video. Guys, that was Robert Hockett, not Lyle Lovett. You know, that hair might throw you off, and you might think that's Julia Roberts' ex-husband. But that was not Lyle Lovett. That was Robert Hockett. So, you know, crazy hair. They both had crazy hair. So, just in case, I want to make sure you guys didn't get confused there. Anyways, you know, this whole Green New Deal that Cortez is looking to come out with, and they're saying that she never said anything about farting cows or getting rid of planes or people that are unwilling to work, economic money to people that are unwilling to work, and a lot of other things. And what they forget is, as soon as she had that speech, they pretty much took down the whole plan that she had on her website. But they forget we have the internet, and nothing's gone forever on the internet. So I found it. I found the original deal, the original thing that she put out, the original bill, I would say, put out. And it does say in here, it does say in economic security for all who are unable or unwilling to work. So right there, she's giving money to people that don't feel like working, unwilling to work. And you saw also, and she did also say about planes and getting rid of planes. And, you know, you saw Robert Hockett say that he's not going to get rid of fossil fuel. You know, that's not their plan, but that is their plan. Their plan is to get rid of fossil fuel. And it is in her bill, her original bill that she put out, that she's been trying to hide everybody and lying to us that people are putting doctored documents out, that it is originally in here. You know, and you saw too, the thing is that he's talking about, oh, Tucker, wouldn't you like to drive around in electric cars? Well, my question is, I think we started that already with Obama. I think Obama came out with electric cars, and I remember, I think it was in 2008, he came out with electric cars. You know, he was trying to push a lot of Americans to get into electric cars, and, you know, and the great advantages of having an electric car and all that. And I remember I looked into it, and I thought it was kind of cool, you know, electric car, you know, new technology. And I looked into it, and when you have an electric car, you have to change your whole garage. You have to change, you know, you have to get a power and be able to plug your car in. And I believe there was about like $2,000 just to get a plug in your car, plug in your garage. You're already spending $2,000. I don't know how much you're going to spend on a car, but you need to spend another $2,000. And I was saying too, one, I live in Wadsworth, Ohio, and where am I gonna, if I have an electric car, where am I gonna drive my car to charge my car up to get me somewhere else? And I noticed that in California it was really big, that there was charging stations. And I saw that, you know, traveling to Boston a couple years ago, a gas station that had charging stations. But the other thing, if they're trying to push all of us into electric cars, what are we going to do with the gas stations? And all of a sudden the gas stations are all gone. And I thought that was kind of crazy. And I think this whole Green New Deal just sounds like what Obama tried to do when he was president in 2008. Trying to get us all into solar panels and all that. And I think the only thing that was great about what Obama did was that, like, if you got energy efficient hot water tank or something like that, you got a credit, kind of like on your tax returns. And I thought that was about the best thing. You know, that was probably the best thing if you're a person trying to get more money back in end of the year. But what are you doing here, phone? Technology. But let me get to the other. It was frequently asked questions, and they, you know, as you saw, Robert Hockey brought up that they're not looking to get rid of fossil fuels, but they are. You know, they're looking to get rid of it. And I really need some glasses because, let me go here. But, and they're looking to, and she also says in there, in this bill, she goes, I know that we're not going to get rid of all the planes and farting cows. So it's in there. A lot of people were making jokes about it, but she did put it in there. And let me get to that one part. Here we are. Yes, we are calling for a full transition off fossil fuels and zero greenhouse gases. Anyone who has read the resolution sees that we spell this out through a plan that calls for eliminating greenhouse gas emissions from every sector of the economy. Simply banning fossil fuels immediately won't build the new economy. To replace it, this is the plan to build that new economy and spells out how to do it. Our whole goal is in 10 years to get us all into renewable energy and everything. And it's just looking to go around and change every building in America. Well, you're not going to be able to change every building in America. That's going to take a long time, especially when you hit Chicago and hit New York. It's going to take a long time to retrofit and change all the other buildings out in New York, in Chicago, in California. It's going to take a while. So I thought it was kind of funny. And I think, and it does say on the bottom how you're going to pay for it. And that, oh man, they went to, I'll love it here. And how you're going to pay for it. And I thought that was how you, and she puts it in, how you, us, the American people, are going to pay for this. And what if we don't want this? That just seems like another government thing dumped on us that we might not want to. We already have the government in education. We have a government in this and that. And I think this part, we don't really need a government to dump stuff on us to help other people that might think the Green Deal is great and want to be into, saving the planet. I don't think it should be dumped on me and other American citizens that really are not looking to do this. And I saw that when I was watching that video, and it says, how will you pay for it? The same way you pay for it, and she was going back to the New Deal and the 2008 bank bailout and extended easing programs. In the same way we paid for the World War II and all our current wars, the Federal Reserve can extend credit to power these projects and investments in new public banks. We need any more of that. That sounds like the bailout that we had in 2008 that nobody wanted. We didn't want that bailout, and it looks like that's what she's looking to do here. And I think that's just not good for us because that's not what we want. We don't, and the Federal Reserve can extend credit. Not, the Federal Reserve has enough power already. And there's also space for the government to take a equity stake in projects to get a return on investment. At the end of the day, this is an investment in our economy that should grow our wealth as a nation. So the question isn't how we will pay for it, but what we will do with our new shared prosperity, which I think is crazy, guys. It just seems like a socialist, a whole big giant socialist program coming from a socialist. And socialism does not work. We all know that, and if it fails and they keep saying, well, it failed over here, it won't fail in America. Well, I think it would. It just fails because it's all good on paper, and always, like me and my wife talk about this, that socialism looks good on paper or communism looks good on paper. Until you implement it, then it seems like at the end of the day, all the people who are on power have the money, and people like us that are not have the power, we don't have it anymore. And, we don't have it and we're suffering while they're living rich. Just look at Venezuela and how, they're out eating their dogs and zoo animals, and we don't want that in America. So I don't know. I hope this hits, if it hits Donald Trump's desk, I hope he just says no, and, we don't have to deal, he'll veto it out, and we just don't have to worry about it. So I thought it was crazy. I get kind of agitated that they come on TV and they say, well, we didn't say this and we didn't do that. Well, we didn't do this, which you did because, it's the internet. You have the YouTube, and we have, a Wayback Machine, as that's called. think it's called, that you can look up stuff that has been put on the internet to see if it really is true or not. All right, guys, thanks for, it's pretty much the end of my show. That's pretty much all I had to say. I thank you guys for watching my show, and you guys have stay dry out there because the weather is raining now. It's going to snow later. It's just crazy weather, so stay dry and stay healthy. And have a great week, guys.